Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here, and thank you to everyone viewing remotely. I call to order closed session. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez is not present. Councilmember Ibarra is not present. Councilmember Figueroa?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Here.
Councilmember Reynoso is not present. Councilmember Calvin?
Present.
Councilmember Alexander?
Here.
And Mayor Tran?
Here.
Thank you.
Madam City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
I believe we have comments on Zoom.
Thank you.
The caller with the last four digits, 3548, if you can please unmute your mic, and you have 3 minutes to address the council.
Please state your name.
That's 3548. Okay, moving on to the next caller. The caller with the last four digits, 1660. Oh, give me 1 second. Okay, 3548, you have 3 minutes to address the council.
Please state your name.
Clyde, we can't hear if they're speaking. They're unmuted. They're unmuted. Do we have the control for the TV? It doesn't? Okay. Okay. 3548, are you able to hear? I don't hear anything. Okay. Moving on to the next caller, 1660. Please unmute your mic. You have 3 minutes to address the council.
And please state your name.
Hello? Hello? I am not muted.
We can hear you now, ma'am.
Okay,
Please state
we
your
can hear
name.
you now.
Hello? Hello?
We can hear you. Please proceed with your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Are we sure we're okay now? Honestly. Okay. Paula Plunk. I am in Sacramento tonight with our lawmakers fighting for the rights of San Bernardino citizens. Speaking of John Valdivia, let him stay in the court system and let his king crown tighten around his head.
And you have 3 minutes.
He deserves everything he's going to get. These beautiful people in the court system have been collateral damage to you, council, while trying to grow this so-called image. You have had years to do the right thing and do the right job and censure John Valdivia for his 18 verified sexual harassment claims, but you've done nothing. It has been out of sight, out of mind. In fact, the Gang of Four have brought forward your own predatory behaviors of gaslighting, lies, drinking, and colluding to bring hate and despair upon residents, which you constantly call good government. CB&K is continually failing the city. As a city attorney, they lie and that puts the city at risk of litigation. Thomas Rice is not the attorney Karen we need in this city, handing BB&K a tissue. San Bernardino residents are not the enemy, but we will use our democratic tactics to get you back in line or out that door. The CM position is mandated by the city charter and with all descriptions attached. No more, no less, despite the fact Mayor Tran is actively trying to set the city charter ablaze with her minions and henchmen. There may only be a few of us that call in or show up to closed session, like community leadership has stated, but we have a city angered and becoming stronger every day in taking back our city. You might mock us, CM Ward 1, apparently not there tonight, in these meetings and behind closed doors, but it is you and your gang of four that mock and spit on the dead and wounded called veterans with your lies, gaslighting, and disgusting behavior run by your egos. Mr. Charette, your city bio speaks of service to our country. Your vote speaks to forgetting your place in this city. You are no better than any other man or veteran in this city. Your bromance with Teddy Sanchez has made you weak and soft. Residents already voted out John Valdivia's sexual harassment predator. Don't make the same mistake, council, he did, that residents are stupid and don't deserve your honest time. San Bernardino's YouTube channel is seen nationwide and internationally. Wave right now. Just remember, it is your shame that the CA Attorney General's office is watching, along with our representatives tonight sitting next to me and senators. This is your shame to clean up, not ours. Do better is an understatement to what city residents have been put through. But our faith in ourselves to do better will always be our guiding light. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the speaker with the last four digits, 1660, if you can please unmute your mic and address the council, you have 3 minutes.
Please state your name.
Concay Shimin, City Council and Mayor. Voters of San Bernardino, don't let the City Council and Mayor settle these tort cases against John Valdivia out of court. Pay the attorney fees and let them go to trial. These cases are about wrongful termination, hostile workplace, sexual harassment, and bribery. Allowing these cases to continue will allow the entire world to know what John Valdivia did during his mayoral power to abuse these 3 men and women, as well as the culpability of the City Council. Mr. Valdivia is a sexual harasser and abuser. Pay the attorney fees and let them go to trial. RDICO has an exclusive negotiating agreement, ENA, with the city, and part of the ENA states that if there is an issue with the SLA, the agreement should be put on hold or told until this is resolved. No other developers should be engaged until the SLA issue is resolved with the state. And since RDICO has negotiated and acted in good faith, they should be allowed to continue to be the primary developer for the proposed Riverwalk. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you. We will now convene into closed session at 5:38 p.m. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for being here, and thank you to those viewing remotely. I'll call to order at 7:04 p.m. this joint regular meeting of the Mayor and City Council and the Mayor and City Council acting as the successor agency to the redevelopment agency of the City of San Bernardino. Do I need to mention the closed session first, or we're going to go through these? Invocation first? Okay. Pastor Clyde Stewart of Westside Christian Center will lead tonight's invocation, and Girl Scouts Troop 1419 will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Clyde Stewart, could you come up to the podium? Councilmember Alexander, would you mind doing the invocation tonight?
All men, take off their hats, bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just want to thank you for what you have done. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for all the things you have done. Please come before this city, Heavenly Father. Reach out to all the residents. Lord, bless them with your spirit and your love, Heavenly Father. Sir, just wash over the council and the mayor and the staff, Heavenly Father. Lift them up where they are weak. We come before you now, Heavenly Father, asking for these things. We're asking for wisdom, Heavenly Father. You said, knock and you shall answer. So right now, Heavenly Father, we are knocking at your door for asking for wisdom to go the right way to serve our residents, Heavenly Father, of this city. We're asking for the staff of this city, Heavenly Father, to look upon them as they do the job of this city, the very hard job, Heavenly Father. So please give them up, give them strength where they may go forward. And Lord, as we go forth on this day, look upon our city, Heavenly Father, our residents, Heavenly Father. Give them strength that they may go forward to uplift and continue to bless our city. In Jesus' name, and everybody says amen, amen, and amen.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate that. Could I call up the Girl Scout Troop 1419 to the podium, please?
Color guard, attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, present the colors. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color guard dismissed. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you so much. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Here.
Councilmember Ibarra is not present. Councilmember Figueroa?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem? Councilmember Reynoso?
Here.
Councilmember Calvin?
Present.
Councilmember Alexander?
Here.
And Mayor Tran.
Here. Thank you. City Attorney, is there anything to report from closed session?
Just like to report that we did have 3 items of closed session, existing litigation, a matter of significant exposure, and real property negotiations. We finished item A, but I believe it's the council's intent to go back into closed session following our open session meeting to complete items B and C.
Thank you. Next is the presentation. Could I please have Public Works staff for the proclamation of recognizing and honoring Arbor Day? Do we have Public Works staff available? Could we have a staff member? Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? Good evening. Thank you. Public staff member here. Proclamation of the Mayor and City Council recognizing and celebrating April 28th, 2023 as Arbor Day. Whereas the City of San Bernardino values its urban forest and all its trees and recognizes the benefits trees can provide to San Bernardino's neighborhoods. And whereas the city is supportive of tree planting and acknowledges that they can be a solution to fighting climate change by providing shade, moderating temperatures, cleaning the air, providing a habitat for wildlife, and producing life-giving oxygen. And whereas trees can be a renewable resource, giving us wood for our homes, paper, and fuel for our warmth in winter. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, can be a source of joy and spiritual renewal and beautification of our communities. And whereas in 1872, a special day was established for the planting of trees. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas the City of San Bernardino is committed to continue nurturing and preserving its urban forest through planting, caring, and diversifying trees throughout the city. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino hereby designate April 28th, 2023 as a day in honor and recognition of Arbor Day, presented this 19th day of April 2023. All right, could I have our library director come up? I think he's probably outside, huh? While we're waiting for our library director, why don't we go to the next proclamation? Could we have, for the volunteers, our parks director and staff, please come up. All right, thanks, team. Okay, proclamation of the Mayor and City Council recognizing and celebrating the month of April 2023 as Volunteer Appreciation Month. Whereas the month of April has been designated nationally as Volunteer Appreciation Month to recognize the hard work, dedication, and passion of volunteers and national service members throughout our nation. And whereas last year, more than 60 million Americans gave their time and service to our nation, which is a testament to the compassion and generosity of the American spirit. And whereas the City of San Bernardino commemorates Volunteer Appreciation Month by recognizing and honoring as valued volunteers with a proclamation. And whereas the city believes that government alone cannot meet all of our city's needs, so we partner with business, faith-based organizations, nonprofit organizations, foundations, and individuals who serve in city government and in our community to make a difference. And whereas the City of San Bernardino is committed to encouraging volunteerism among its employees, citizens, partners, businesses, and organizations, and thanks all volunteers throughout the City of San Bernardino for their dedicated service, and now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino do hereby proclaim the month of April 2023 as Volunteer Appreciation Month in the City of San Bernardino and urge our residents to recognize the positive impact of volunteerism in our communities. Presented this 19th day of April 2023. Thank you, team.
Test, test.
At the last, I just want to really quickly mention, I believe a few council meetings ago, we mentioned how we won an award for, let's see, from the National League of California Cities, City San Bernardino, population category of 200 to 500,000 residents, where our cultures connect for the San Bernardino Festival. So I just really want you guys to be so proud of all of the great work. Councilmember Calvin, why don't you join because you were with me at NLC to receive this award. Thank you. All right. Back to our library director. Please come down. Okay, proclamation of the Mayor and City Council recognizing and celebrating April 23rd to 29th, 2023 as National Library Week. Whereas in observance of National Library Week, patrons are encouraged to visit one or more of the 4 San Bernardino public libraries either in person or virtually. Whereas there's more to the story is this year's theme from the American Library Association. Whether people visit in person or virtually, libraries offer endless opportunities to transform lives through education and lifelong learnings. And whereas with the support of our mayor and city council, increased funding allowed for public service weekly hours to expand to 40 at each location, including a doubling of the 3 branch libraries' hours in October 2021, with the addition of several full-time staff. And whereas besides patrons checking out books, doing research, using a PC, or enjoying free Wi-Fi, we offer various free activities such as preschool story time, crafts, workshops, author visits, entertainment programs, literacy services, and classes to help people improve their lives at no cost. And whereas our online services for remote learners, including ebooks and e-audiobooks, homework help via chat, and others were more valuable than ever to our patrons during the COVID-19 pandemic in the last few years. And whereas libraries help change lives in our communities, serving people of every age, education level, ethnicity, and physical ability, and whereas approximately 28,000 people have our City of San Bernardino library card, And whereas our San Bernardino Public Library has served over our community for 132 years, and if there is any city that can benefit from a free public library, it is here. Now, therefore, the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino do hereby proclaim April 23rd to the 29th, 2023 as National Library Week, presented this 19th day of April 2023.
Buenas tardes. Si necesita interpretación en español, tenemos una intérprete presente. Por favor, levante
Un
la
momento,
mano.
si puede esperar, por favor. Gracias.
Yes.
¿Puede esperar?
Sí, sorry.
Okay. At this time, public comments. Are we doing the Spanish-French interpretation or the public comments? At this time, public comments will be heard. In-person speakers will be heard first, followed by remote speakers. To address the City Council, each individual will fill out a speaker slip. A speaker slip must be completed and turned into the City Clerk at this time. Only those speaker cards turned into the City Clerk will be allowed to address the City Council. No late cards will be accepted. Each person should state their name for the record. Spanish interpreter, please come to the podium.
Buenas tardes. Si necesita interpretación en español, tenemos una intérprete presente. Por favor, levante la mano en este momento para indicar que requiere servicios. También tenemos aparatos disponibles para escuchar la Junta en español. Si no recibimos solicitud para los servicios de interpretación antes de las 9, la intérprete se retirará.
Gracias. If you do require Spanish interpretation, we do have interpreter on site, as you can see. Please raise your hand at this time to indicate you need translation assistance. We do, I see a few out in the audience. Please, and listening devices available in the back. Please note that the interpreter will be dismissed if we do not receive any requests for interpretation by 9 p.m., but I do see some in the audience. Thank you. Madam City Clerk, how many speakers do we have tonight?
We have 26.
26. Okay. Madam City Clerk, please call up the speakers, and each speaker will have 3 minutes.
Dave Brown, James Smith, Al Palazzo, Zandra Vaughn, Frank Montes, and Dolores Armstead.
Good evening. I'm here to talk about the planning department or the commission, the result. They all voted no grinding except for one. He seems to think that it's going to improve the city. It's going to bring more development into the city. And I don't agree with that. We don't need grinding in this city. I get up in the morning. I live about 2 miles from Glen Helen. You get up in the morning, my cars are covered with dirt after their race. I live 3 or 4 blocks from Oxbow. Your 1,000 feet is not going to do anything. My cars are going to be covered with the dust. I have received in the mail from an attorney talking about wildfires and all the particulates and everything in it. You read this and it's almost the same as the concrete. I have COPD. I can't hardly walk to the mailbox without huffing and puffing. And now we're going to put up with all the junk that's floating in the air. Planning Commission says it floats for 2 hours minimum. Little bit of breeze, it's going to be all over the place. You people don't live up there. I think the mayor's the only one that lives in that area. Do you want your kids breathing this stuff, or do you want to breathe it? I sure don't. How do I protect my health? If the dirt from Glen Helen floats is bad, the stuff from the crushing of the concrete is going to be just as bad. Do I need to contact these guys to protect my health and to put a stop to the grinding? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
James Smith. I wanted to say a few comments about the wonderful city of San Bernardino, what's been happening since our last council meeting. I'm honored to serve currently on the Arts and Historical Preservation Commission. We had a tremendous meeting the other day, and we are so fortunate to have a leader on the Park and Recreation Department. We've heard of the recognition they've received, not only recognition, but the awards they've received throughout the state of California. And we are very fortunate to have Ms. Gutfeld lead that very critical department here in the city of San Bernardino. I want to thank you for your service. Also, I wanted to indicate this last week was tremendous. We had a wonderful gathering to welcome the new school superintendent, a native Californian. He went to San Bernardino High School. Actually, he went to Riley, and he is. I'm very pleased to say that's a very positive part of the city of San Bernardino is the San Bernardino City Unified School District. And I look for great things to happen with the partnership between our city leaders and also the city schools. And I want to thank personally our mayor and the city council people for a job well done. They're showing some very good leadership in the city of San Bernardino. I also wanted to indicate that we've, and I know we're going to honor him later on, but we lost an icon here in San Bernardino, a very good personal friend of mine, Ernest Garcia, who did a tremendous amount of positive things for the city of San Bernardino, not only historically, but also in the arts field. And we need to, there was an excellent article in the newspaper, we need to basically use him as our mentor to move forward in the city of San Bernardino. Also, the Park and Rec Department has a 15-year master plan now. We haven't had a master plan in the city of San Bernardino since 2008, okay? That was before change of government, before the bankruptcy. Now we have an opportunity to really move forward because we have the right people in the right places here in the city of San Bernardino. I attended also a neighborhood action group meeting, which was very positive.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, please state your name. Oh, could you turn on the mic, please?
Push the button.
My name is Alfred Palazzo. Affordable housing can and will be built by the private sector by changing the zoning south of Highland Avenue to Mill Street, Waterman Avenue to Mount Vernon, to allow multiple two-story homes about 2,000 square feet with no yards on lots. Other cities in the counties have been doing this for decades. They will be affordable because developers are not building on acreage, creating new streets. Developers will be creating driveways to serve more homes rather than a one-story home that is occupying a fraction of a lot and is nearly 100 years old and in some cases doesn't meet code by today's standard. This concept is suited for our older areas that need rebuilding. No other city in the county is like San Bernardino with such a vast area that is so underdeveloped and has so much potential to turn the city around. This will bring economic development, create jobs, improve the quality of life, expand the tax base, and bring more revenues to provide services to residents and bring prosperity to the city. The new downtown should be a retail corridor of shops with two-story window displays. Fifth Street will become a promenade street from G Street to Mount View. Shops will continue on the North and South Streets going back to 6th and 4th Streets. Parking will be in the middle of the block. This downtown will be 4 times bigger than Victoria Gardens. Let's call it Fifth Avenue. Buildings will have architecture. Some buildings will have spaces to gather with fountains and art. The intersection of E and Fifth Street can be a spectacular center and gateway to an amazing downtown. The Carousel Mall is not big enough for housing and a new downtown, and housing is critical. Affordable housing is the foundation of my vision to support a new spectacular downtown. We can create the most outstanding city in the county. I can show you. We don't have to spend hours talking to each other. I can show you in 2 hours, not far from here, how we can rebuild this to downtown with critical type of buildings that will, and next time I'll talk about bringing eateries to the downtown and public spaces and maybe an amphitheater. You know, Rancho Cucamonga is building an amphitheater, and Ontario built an amphitheater, and I went to Redlands Bowl since I was a teenager. I wrote a paper, which I intend to give you, Mayor, when I meet with you, 30 years ago, talking about an amphitheater in the downtown area. But the other topics that I'd like to start, I don't have enough time, so I'll save them for other meetings.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, please state your name.
Yes, Frank Montes. Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members, and members of the community. I'm here to finish my public comment from the last City Council meeting, which was in regards to the failure of council members to be responsive to their communities and calls from our small business owners. I'm going to switch it up because I thought that after that time that I was here, I would have probably received a call from that council member. But to this day, still haven't got a call. To this day, the small businesses have not got a call from Councilman Sanchez. So why waste time trying when it falls on deaf ears? Councilman, I think it's time for maybe you to step down and give room for a true leader that returns phone calls, that understands the plight of our small businesses. Because you might speak the language, but you definitely do not speak the message. I do want to say that. And furthermore, the disrespect that you showed to our Councilwoman Calvin and to our mayor, you should be ashamed of that behavior. We talk about bullying. You're supposed to lead by example, and that's the example that you show to our children, to the members of the community. If the children behaved in that manner at school, they would be in the principal's office or expelled. You need to be expelled. You need to move on because the city needs leaders that understand the needs of the community, that pick up the phone and return a phone call, that gets on their computer and returns an email. I want to thank Councilman Alexander and Reynoso for reaching out to me and asking what were the challenges. Because now these businesses are going to get these items resolved with no help from the representative that elected them. And Madam Mayor, keep your head up. We got your back. You are the elected representative. You are the elected leader of this city. We stand with you. And council, please get her some staff. There's so much work to be done in this city that she needs that support. And we will stand shoulder to shoulder with each and every one of you to make sure this city thrives and bring our small businesses back. With or without you, this is going to get done. But it's time to move on. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
My name is Exandra Vaughn. I'm nervous. My name is Exandra Vaughn, and I'm a social work student at Cal State San Bernardino. I have been tasked with I have been tasked with working along with a group of my peers to survey the community and identify a need. After serving several people within the city of San Bernardino, we found that one of the underserved populations in our area is our LGBTQ plus youth. After speaking with Oscar, who was a case manager at the Welcome Home House here in San Bernardino, we learned that it's the only LGBTQ plus youth shelter of its kind in the city. Due to the high population of homelessness with LGBTQ plus youth, it is impossible for one shelter to service everyone. We believe that within our city, we should have more shelters and resources for LGBTQ youth.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Dolores Armstead, and good evening, everyone. I would like to reiterate what happened at the last meeting. The last meetings, Council Members Sanchez and Figueroa showed absolute disrespect to the mayor and to Council Member Calvin. Can you please grow up? Oh, and to the citizens, when the citizens were up here speaking. Please grow up. It looks bad on the city. It definitely looks bad on you. The rest of the council, they were adults. You two need to grow up. I looked at today's agenda. There are still more lawsuits for Valdivia. When do we get done with him? Every month, we see our taxes going to the lawsuits regarding him. I am glad that we now have a charter city, because a strong mayor city could lead to something like this that we, the people, are paying for. Carousel Mall. Did anybody see today's article in the Sun? What happened? Who was ensuring that we followed protocol, especially on this major, impactful project? You can't blame all the current council, because they weren't in office. Several of them were not in office when this occurred. However, what's going on with the planning department then and who we have now? Different people, we have the same problem. We are still not getting full information. We're still not getting full transparency. That's why we're in trouble now. We need to change that. This council cannot be totally at fault because they weren't told. They are blindsided just like the citizens. We need to change that. We have 60 days to take care of this issue. This is a major project in the city of San Bernardino. We need to see it go forward. We don't want to start all over again. And also, our planning commission, we recommend no on-site crushing at all in the city of San Bernardino. That's our recommendation to the council. We're sticking by that. None at all in the city because of what's happened in the north end of our city. And I would also like to address unlicensed and unpermitted food and street vendors. If you go down our streets, it's embarrassing. You can't do it in Redlands, you can't do it in Rancho, you can't do it in Ontario. Why San Bernardino? Yes. We need to, we're not against it. Get licensed, get permitted, do it legally. And also, why not have a place for the vendors to go to? Yeah. You know, every week have a vendor market night or something, but not on every sidewalk. The sidewalks are for the people, not for you to have your food court and your outdoor restaurant, which is very disrespectful to the brick and mortar restaurants who pay for licenses, fees, and taxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Treasurer Ortiz, Russell Deegan, Steve Mitchell, Tanya Smith, and Alexia Nevins, and Anthony Neal.
If you hear a name, just please line up behind the podium. Thank you, and please state your name. Next speaker.
Dr. Treasurer Ortiz, 7th Ward. Council, on December 7th, you guys approved the grinding and crushing of the Carousel Mall and its demolition, which is a violation of the municipal code. On March 15th, your community and economic developer said that he affirmed with the city attorney's office that crushing and grinding is not mentioned anywhere in the municipal code, which means that regardless of its proximity to residential neighborhoods, you cannot crush and grind in this city. So why then on Monday are you trying to celebrate the kickoff of illegal grinding and crushing in the demolition of the mall? What about the affordable senior housing across the street? What about the veterans housing across the street? What about Hardy Brown School across the street? What about the shopping centers across the street, City Hall across the street, the car dealership across the street? What about the fact that you are openly breaking the law? And remember, we talked about BB&K, and Thomas Rice was so quick to talk about how his attorneys don't go to jail. But do you have 12 years to spend in jail like the city administrator that followed them in Bell? You got 12 Christmases to give up with your family. You have years of litigation to pay for your own attorneys for knowingly harming this community. Because John Valdivia is per se right now, because he went outside the scope of his job. Your job is not to harm this community, it is to help us, to make sure that you are protecting the best interests of this community. And if you allow this demolition to go off, then you're at fault. And Charles, I want to know why your biggest complaint was that the charter was a strong mayor the last time you were here. And if it was so different like it is now, you would have taken more control. Where is your control? Why are you allowing your employees to lie to this community and to you? You were on that email too. Where is the strength and power to want to do the right thing? You guys constantly complain about how we get up here and speak to you and bring issues and all you want is positivity. Then bring us progress. Bring us something. I would never come up here if you guys would just do the right thing. Most of us would never show up. And like most cities, they don't have to, because the expectation is their councils aren't trying to kill them with silica dust and ruin the lives of their children for the next 25 years. People don't have to get up and talk about homelessness every day because councils don't allow their city to create ordinances that are illegal, that stop and tie the hands of the police from keeping criminals out of parks and letting families in. Stop doing it. I'm so fed up as a resident for 4 years, and I try to be positive and think of all the good things that you could do, but you slap us in the face. Ask your city manager, be bold. Can you grind and crush on site in this city? Yes or no? If you can't, then call a special meeting on Friday and stop the illegal grinding, or I will pay to file an emergency injunction to stop it, because I'm willing to do the right thing, elected or unelected, because I care about my city. Just please do the same for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Russell Degnan. Thank you, Mayor and council members. Just here to give a quick update on that youth reinvestment program that the city manager's office and the community prevention program team led and contracted Operation New Hope in the Urban Core had ended March 31st. A beautiful thing is we were able to sustain that through another contract, another grant. So the YRG program is being funded through the Title II program through the BSCC. So students and youth that and families that were benefiting from that will continue to benefit from that program. But just wanted to give you guys some quick updates of some good positive things happening in your city at this San Bernardino Youth Opportunity Center on West 7th Street. And Mr. Sanchez, I would love for you to come visit. You know, we've been open since 2015. I know you've been here for a little while, but I have not seen you come in. I would greatly appreciate that, but I think my youth and my staff would appreciate that as well. So you have not been there. I'm there daily, so thank you. Don't talk back, all right? Listen. Total enrolled for the 3 years, we were contracted to enroll 75 youth each year. We totally kicked that butt. For all 3 years, we did 414 youth. Just some stats real quick. What that program entailed, youth had to complete a 14-week life skills curriculum that was evidence-based, actually founded by Operation New Hope. It's a cognitive life skills. Embedded with that, they had to be involved with restorative justice projects, and students were incentivized by earning stipends for completing projects. So they were putting money in their pocket as they learned, so earn and learn, and gave back to the community. I've mentioned several times that we did cleanup projects. I don't have the tonnage, but with Public Works, we cleaned up a ton of the streets. We helped fix up one of the shut down fire departments. We, before the The bridge over here got completed. We were the ones in there cleaning up the encampment facility. We feed families every Friday, about 500 families with groceries. That's all led by my staff and my students. They do an amazing job. So some of the stats that were that I'm going to read year 3, and this is from the state's report. 93% reduced overall risk, 71% improved substance abuse, 96% completed weekly restorative justice projects, 88% improved academic GPA, 93% completed career pathway programs, 93% completing the career pathway program, 81% of those now are employed, 29% improved housing status, 92% no contact with justice system. Great things are happening.
Thank you, and thank you for all that you do in our community. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hi, my name is Tanya Smith. I just want to talk about the homeless for a minute. First of all, the homeless really aren't, they're not even wanting handouts. They really want a hand up. And the problem is that any program that they have all these restrictions. They're the same as any other people. They're still people, whether they're homeless or they're not. They're people, and that's how they want to be treated. If you go, I went out and I talked to a lot of different homeless people, and the reason they don't go to shelters is because of all the restrictions. Like, you will not let a couple be together. Male and females cannot be together. But nobody wants to leave that comfort. Nobody wants to leave their loved ones or their caretaker or somebody who makes them feel safe. Nobody wants to do that. And then they have drug testing. Whether they are or they aren't drug addicts, they classify drug addiction as a disease. They're not being tested for heart disease or leukemia or anything else. But if they tested positive for that, are they not going to get housed? No, because that's discrimination, really. The problem is that you guys can put a lot of money into all the programs that you want and fund everything that you want. But if you don't reach out to the people and get to know them, I myself have invited Ben Reynolds to come to my spot so that he could see. When he said that he was going to be in the neighborhood, I never heard back from him. I contacted him from the neighborhood app, and also I contacted him by phone, and he never came out. You can't make decisions for homeless people or how to help them if you don't know them. Because not every one of them is a drug addict, and not every one of them is a criminal. They are more than willing to work. They just have to have the means to be able to do that. And they want to be treated like everybody else. You're going to spend $12.5 million on a building for resources. We know the resources. They're available everywhere. We have the HOPE program that comes out all the time and tells us. You have the STEP program. We know what they are, but it's hard to get help from them. First of all, the IDs are a problem. For some reason, they can't seem to get IDs or keep track of them. You don't want to go to a shelter either because of the violence and the theft. I have a lot of ideas that I'd like to discuss. I haven't touched on it now, but I would like the chance to talk to you and discuss some of this. We have all these empty buildings around here that could be converted into little rooms for the homeless people. All they want is a safe place to lay their head and a chance to do the right thing. But if you don't know them, how are you making decisions for them? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Alexia Nevins, and I'm speaking to the council and also the residents. I've been a resident here in San Bernardino County 25 years and a homeowner. I raise children here, and I am so disgusted with the area I live in. I purchased a house on the north end of San Bernardino because that was the nice end of San Bernardino. Now I am living with homeless people that bring trash and filth and break glass, and they're angry, and they are putting our lives in danger. They have broken into private property. I have called several times to San Bernardino County regarding this issue, letting them know that there's a private area in which they've broken the wrought iron fence, and now they've placed tents, trash, glass, and they're angry. So now, other than the homeless taking over that particular area, and I'm talking about University, Parkway, and State. Behind that strip mall, there is private property that had the wrought iron gate when I first started calling a year ago, and I was calling every week when I saw the homeless coming. What's happening to our area? Please have someone come out and remove these people from our area. My husband got confronted with a knife by a homeless person. I went to a hometown meeting. At that hometown meeting, I heard about all the change in management. Your change in management, and we're taxpayers. We're paying taxes, we're voting for you, and I felt as though there was more support for the homeless. I'm paying mortgage every month. I'm trying to survive every month. And I felt there was more consideration for the homeless, whether they'll sue San Bernardino County, than me, the resident. It is totally unfair. And if this continues, and I have called and I've spoken, you know me well, I've spoken to you, Ben. I've spoken to Nathaniel over, I think he's over economic development. And Helen, I voted for you, and I know that you're new. But what I'm saying to you, this city, they no longer water, they don't clean the streets on the north end.
Thank you.
The potholes are huge. And our city is gonna be a large ghetto, all of it.
Thank you.
If you don't do something about it.
Thank
and
you.
I'm sick of it.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, council members and mayor. My name is Steve Mitchell. I just want to thank you for listening to us. This is a great opportunity. There's some things that I heard that I would really love to address, but one of the things I'm here for tonight is I sat down with our council member, my ward, Figueroa. He took time out, roughly 2.5 hours out of his day. It's kind of unusual. I know we like to beat him up. I love beating up Theodore because he used to be in my ward and he never put up street signs that I asked him to do so. But item 14, I believe, agenda 14 will help vacate these vacant homes that the developers are coming in and just leaving them. It's creating opportunity for, such everybody says, homeless, squatters. They're coming in, stealing the electrical, pissing, doing drugs in the front. Just on my street, I believe in December, a dead body of a young lady was just sitting in front of there for about 12 hours, so my kids got to walk out, go to school, and see a dead body. It's amazing to see how we just kind of push little things aside. We have to remember, if this city is going to develop, you guys are forgetting a key element is our streets. You cannot have gross weight vehicles on these streets. If you're doing it, you're ignorant. I liked when they said about the crushing or whatever. I'm learning about that. And getting ready to follow Miss Ortiz. She's great. You guys get your ears open. All we got to do is come up here and speak, and they'll pretty much listen. As far as the homeless, Sergeant Anna McKenna, she really took charge of what happened across the street after the dead body was found. I appreciate her. I don't know if she's listening. I thank you for that. But again, this agenda is something that's going to be, it's an improvement. And also, it's going to create an opportunity for the developer to come in and level the ground. That we're living in a war zone in my area. It just, every other house is vacant, and the windows and doors are ripped off. Grass as tall as the roof. Why? Why do I got to live like that? I'm pretty sure most of you don't have a house, a vacant house on your street that looks like that. If you do, things are getting done about it. So I really look forward to moving on with the street things. That's my next little goal, but I really appreciate your time. Hopefully the city manager is going to be on top of his job. I don't know what you guys did with that yet, but I'm sure I'll talk to Mr. Ortiz and get updated on that. But you guys have a blessed evening. Mr. Figueroa, thank you for your guys' time, and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Neal, and I'm speaking on behalf of my nonprofit organization, which is Refocus on You. And I want to talk about doing business with the city. And it has been a long and hard road. We have an event coming up on May 21st, and just going through the process was difficult, getting everything arranged, getting just the information, which kept changing every time we would go to their offices. So I'm asking the council to maybe look at getting an advocate to help the people, especially the nonprofits, get the paperwork done to get and have events here in San Bernardino. Now, Refocus on You is a small, new nonprofit, but we work with hundreds of different nonprofits in the city. We promote health, we promote mental health, and we teach classes about depression and anxiety. And I think a lot of that is happening in the city, especially as I hear they're talking about the homeless. There are also organizations, nonprofit, that help the homeless. They design programs for them. As a matter of fact, our event coming up will be for veterans and the underserved community, giving them benefits like health exams, blood exams, so that they are missing out on those benefits because they don't have homes that they live in. And there are other nonprofits that we partner with to clean the city and go out in the parks. And I know Mayor Tran has been on some of those things with some of our people in our group. And I want to encourage all of the council to come out to our event, May 21st, 2003. It's a Sunday, right there at 255 D Street, North D Street. We want to invite the community to come out just to see some benefits, maybe even get some health checks from our doctors that are going to be here from different universities and medical clinics in the area. So we want to do business with the city, but it's been hard as a nonprofit. So an advocate, I think, would be a great thing to have that can push us through the process. And I think a lot of us want to do business with the city, but we've been going other places because it's been easier for us to get the events done or get them on the books. So thank you for your time. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Lisa Williams, Gregory Dishman, Jose Ballesteros, Peter Densmore, Les, Luis Ojeda.
Okay. Next speaker, please come up to the podium and state your name. Can you turn on the mic, please? Thank you.
My name is Lisa Williams, that's L-E-S-A, and I came tonight to talk about a homeless solution, but really I think that you guys could benefit more by just hearing the truth. So we have a problem in San Bernardino and the rest of California that we probably can't fix, but I'm a product of that problem. We were the all-American city back in the day. Everybody wanted to be in San Bernardino. It was just, oh, Carousel Mall and all these great things. Well, the problem is, for our children, it is not safe. And I have a problem with the way our children are being taken in record numbers from good parents. And the CPS court is totally just going on hearsay, and I don't understand how this could be happening because in America we have a court system that is supposed to obey certain statutes and whatnot. So I don't understand how there's no way that these people can actually complete their programs and get their kids back because there's no housing for these women and children. There's no housing. So you can do everything you do and still not get your kids back because the manager of the sober living will systematically write you up and kick you out. And then what? You just don't get your kid back. When they knew when you got out of rehab that there was no space for your child, but they said there was. I was lucky and my child was placed into a great home. I've been in 3 rehab programs and I have about 150 women in each program. I was the only one who didn't have a horror story, their children being abused, and just weigh out things like my social worker told me that if I touched my child or got within 6 feet of my child, that visits would be terminated during the COVID thing. It wasn't for like 6 or 7 visits that I went to the bathroom and I seen all these other parents hugging their children, and I asked the monitor, I said, you know, why can't I hug my child? And she's like, well, what are you talking about? You can always hug your child. So, I mean, there's really devious things going on, and I was taken by CPS and put back into a home in which I was sexually abused in. I mean, the horror story could go on, but there's so many women out there and men that are dealing with these issues, and that is our homeless population, by the way, because I deal a great deal with them. I'm friends with most of them, and they have such severe mental illness issues that are not ever addressed. And children, it's horrible. Children are horrible to these people, and it's just like, I would hope to think that my time is up, so thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gregory Dishman. I've been living in San Bernardino for about 40 years. Steve already kind of addressed this issue already, but I just came out in support of item 14. That's the mechanisms to require developers to maintain their properties in a nuisance-free condition, and I'm in full support of that. Like he was saying, we found that there was a dead body on the street one morning. There's been 2 fires in the last 6 months, or actually the last 3 months on our street. And we just ask that the developers are held accountable for the facilities that they purchase in a timely manner to get those torn down or something, because if you just leave them empty like that, you're going to create a lot of problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hi, my name is Jose Ballesteros. I live in the 6th Ward. I wanted to bring in an item, I want to discuss about the San Bernardino business license and small businesses having issues obtaining that license. So right now I'm currently working with helping a local nonprofit, confirming with vendors all their documents and permits to make sure that they are able to legally do business in San Bernardino. And a lot of these vendors, they range from artists, retail, food vendors. And one of their main concerns is that, or our issues is that they're having difficulty obtaining the San Bernardino business license. So they already have their California seller's permit, their health permit, their food handler's cards, and their proof of insurance. It's just that they were expressing that getting the San Bernardino business license was a little more difficult. I don't own a business, but I Googled how to obtain a business license in San Bernardino, and I was transferred over to the main page where you get the application to get the business license. And I noticed that the YouTube video, you were greeted by a YouTube video that's about 1 minute and 40 seconds long. I think the video is a do's and don'ts of sidewalk vending. I think it's a little misleading to have that on the forefront, because it's not necessarily educating the public on what permits or how to go about obtaining the business license. It talks about getting the sales permit and insurance. I think we just need to find a way to streamline the process of getting a business license so that these vendors that do want to vend legally have a place where to, or have the means to do it legally, and then also a place to do it legally, because that video didn't really address where it's permissible or what is permissible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Leslie. I'll make it quick. It's a building 398. It's across the street from the law library, and it used to be where the Sun newspaper used to be at, but that's a sports, then it turned into a sports university. It's right across the street. It's on the 4th and D. Well, I called probably months ago, and I told code enforcement, and I let them know that it's an entrance into that building, that they need to put something up to block it, people coming in and setting fires. And I think just last week, they just had a fire inside of that building. And I called code enforcement just today and asked them, when are you guys gonna put something up there? And they basically told me, well, we have to basically take our time and write this report and do this and do that. And I feel like code enforcement kind of drags their feet. And if you guys can kind of put some fire up under them to make them really check these buildings, pretty soon we're not going to have no buildings downtown because all of them get set on fire. That's like the third building got set on fire downtown San Bernardino. So, that's really all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hi, my name is Peter Densmore. I'm president of Cannon Management. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for letting me say a few words in support of the crime-free program. Cannon has been, Cannon was actually founded in 1983, so this makes our 40th year that we've been managing in the Inland Empire. And for most of that time, we've also been managing in the city, within the city of San Bernardino. We manage thousands of units in and around San Bernardino. We try to be good citizens. We try very hard to be good citizens and good neighbors to the community around us. And there's just sometimes when we couldn't do it without the heroes in the San Bernardino Police Department. They have over and over and over again helped us when we were in desperate need of law enforcement support for what we are trying to do. Our clients have poured millions of dollars into these properties, and we feel like the quality of life when properties are managed well is better than when they're poorly managed. And one of the big benefits of the crime-free program is I feel like it holds the various management companies to a standard and gives them the tools. And I think that the heroes in the PD could be, could really help communicate how effective a tool that is for both management and law enforcement when we have issues that need to be addressed. So these are all the people from Cannon that came today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, my name is Luis Ojeda. Well, today I'm going to do a little, I don't know how to call it, introduction to San Bernardino politics, okay? This is how it goes, okay? We need 1, 2, 3, 4, the majority, to approve or disapprove anything, right? And then everything falls into the city manager. The city manager give direction to the different directors of the different departments, right? So I understand that many of us sometimes get very frustrated, okay? And that's an understatement sometimes. And we want to blame our council member. Then the council member, by law, is not allowed to talk to the directors, okay? Then people start saying, well, you're not good, you're not doing your job. And then the council member goes like, no, it's the city manager. And then the city manager goes like, no, it's the directors. So people, we are to blame for this, okay? Not them, not the city manager, just us, okay? Just look in this room, and this is like a little club, okay? Every single council meeting is almost the same people, all right? And some people supposedly watch at home. I hope they do. But what do they do to change? Yeah, okay. Our new elected mayor, well, it's only a role that has no power. Yes, tiebreaker, and what is the other one? Come on. Veto, yes, that's it, that's it. So that's basically our city government. So you guys are frustrated with it? Well, what are we waiting? Because pointing fingers to a council member, to the mayor, to the city manager, it's not changing anything. If you see, I mean, I could go and talk about an experience that I have, but since people talks about bad about the city, I'm not gonna do it. I'd rather be constructive and see how can we fix it. And the only way that I think that we can fix it is to have an honest dialogue, okay? I was talking to a nice lady earlier, and I was like, you know what? It would be a nice thing to get all the directors, the city manager, and all the elected officials, and I can show you guys all the threads and messages, emails, and you can see the layer on top of layer on top of layer of ineptitude. So, I know, Mayor, you want to be the cheerleader of San Bernardino, but basically this is what we got. You just arrived, but you were here 14 years, 13 years. So I'm not blaming anyone. I'm blaming the city residents. Get involved. Thank you.
Mike
Thank you.
Hartley. Mike Hartley, Carmen Gallegos, E. Negret, Markeith Smith.
Please state your name.
Mike Hartley. The city has a lot of problems, but guess what? This isn't one of them. This is for the people who want to dump their animals in unfamiliar areas where they can't find their way back home. For the people who dumped the German Shepherd on Thursday evening when it was raining, it got hit by a car. Luckily, my wife and I found that German Shepherd. We nursed it back to health. We got him to socialize again. It's a beautiful dog, a beautiful dog. We took it to the groomer, and I'm telling you, if we didn't already have 2 dogs from other pieces of shit that dropped them off in our neighborhood, we'd take this German Shepherd. So I'm going to tell the people right now who are dumping those animals, if you dump them in the Nina neighborhood, our cameras are on, we are alert. I want to warn you, we are going to beat the crap out of you. We are going to strip you naked. We are going to blindfold you, and we are going to drop you off in the middle of the frickin' desert. No food, no water, no shelter. And God have mercy on your frickin' soul. Thank you.
Next speaker, please state your name.
Hi, I'm Carmen Gallegos. I've worked in the city for many years, and I had to deal with some situations that gravitated to a lot of issues. But anyways, I'm here today is just to talk about the fires and the fireworks. I had to call many times on those fireworks, and right across away from the police department, I was really disappointed because they really didn't get they worked on it, but they said they had a skeleton crew. I'm like, you got people coming and going out of there. And the sad part is the people around me that lived around me were giving havoc and criminal activities to those places, say the burnt buildings. They went to those places. They're also the ones that looked at my cars. Now that was a disappointment, your own neighbors. So I don't know what connection they have with the police department and why it took so long for those fires to get done and the fireworks. I go, guess what? You have all these burnt buildings. Personally, I think you should just break them all down and take them away. And also the plane, which they burn rapidly, I think they should have mostly put their time and energy to make ambulatory planes, which should take all the homeless people to certain sections of all the medical issues and all the other things that goes on. But like I said, if it was up to me, give the homeless all their city, make them all city workers, and then fix them. But anyways, but like I said, the burnt buildings had been eyesores for a while, but seeing my neighbors who've given havoc, drinking and everything else, and giving it to other people coming in, I go, you just made it to a little party, And that destroyed my neighborhood from my setting. I just came here to just go rent and go back. And it took me a while to get to that level. I'm still working on that. But I just want you to know, these people, you got to tell them, hey, follow them where they're going. Because they're going in and out these buildings and causing havoc, drugs, alcohol, and weapons. I am so shocked, okay? I was in a park, wasn't mean to. I had to call on the range, which shouldn't be there. We have a county building, county sign that says, do not bring weapons, public awareness, which is great. And then here's shooting, and they're shooting at silhouette of people. I had to call it in. In the meantime, there's no restroom, but anyways. So when the person showed up, it was in, I'm not sure if it was, I think a company uniform, but gave me a county ticket, 3 tickets. I had to go to court. But I'm like, what's going on here? And then when the person went to court, I had to go up and down the hill. I had lived up the hill for a while. If you've been down Cone Pass, you know how that goes. But that was a discipline, so they really need to get a hold of these people in uniform. If they got private contracts, you need to be there for the public versus your private contract. Because the taxpayer money official showed up instead of the company that should have even, they also didn't card their people. Anyways, but not carding ranges also allowed children to be,
Thank you.
Picture of children and a pistol sign does not go together.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, please state your name.
My name is Markeith Smith. I think everything that we do should be done in decency and in order. I have been a regional with Canon for over 20 years, have overseen the city of San Bernardino for that length of time. The crime-free program has provided all the necessary tools that we need as property owners and as property management. It has worked to its design in reducing crime, drugs, and gangs for apartment communities. It has been benefit in less police calls for service, a safer, more stable resident base, and less exposure to civil liability. On tonight, I just wanted to speak on how important it is for the crime-free housing program. I was afraid to come tonight, but I'm even afraid more in hearing that this program might be taken away from our city. There's just so much in San Bernardino that this program does for us, and to take it away is going to tie the hands of many of our owners and our management and our staff. Mayor, it's hard to even employ people with decent salary and free housing because of how afraid people are to live in this city. So please consider, as you all sit and deliberate whether this program stays or goes. It is so needed, and I believe it would do the city a disservice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have the Zoom comments. The first caller with the last 4 digits, 3548, if you can please unmute your mic and address the council. You have 3 minutes.
Please state your name.
Speaker with the last 4 digits, 3548, please unmute your mic. You have 3 minutes to address the council. Okay, moving on to the next speaker, 6223, you have 3 minutes to address the council. 6223.
Please state your name.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please state your name.
My name is Georgia Licaresos. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. I would like to thank you in advance for your consideration, though I have become disappointed lately. I don't believe there is any consideration to what I have spoken to you all about in the past. Even though I've stayed to listen to any discussion afterwards, and there's typically nothing. I understand that everything is a crisis right now, but how are we going to address the animal crisis if the Animal Control Commission doesn't even meet? There was a code red recently issued for, I believe it was about 54 dogs that were risk of dying today, mostly for space. Last count, the shelter had about 235 dogs with room for only 120 to 150 max safely. I'm not sure how many were killed or if any were rescued. It's unacceptable. I'm not here to blame animal services. I blame not enforcing the laws in place to keep these numbers of animals down. I am also concerned about all the major issues we are now dealing with in our city for far too long. What a disappointing mess we are in. Oxbow, no grinding, please. I don't understand why we are even fighting about this. Carousel Mall, terrible to hear about what has been going on. Do what's right. Lawsuits, unbelievable. What an embarrassing mess. Homelessness. We must have viable programs and real outreach that go out to these people to talk to them. They aren't all criminals. All this, in addition to the many other problems preventing progress in the right direction. It's beyond frustrating. I want to thank all that come and or speak at these meetings, and especially want to thank you, Dr. Treasurer Ortiz, who takes the time out of her life to explain and help our citizens understand what's on the agenda for the next council meeting so that we are all informed. I'm especially grateful for the patience and help because I'm coming in late in the game and I have a lot of catching up to do and truly appreciate the help. Thank you so much, Treasurer. I also want to thank our law enforcement for the awesome job they've been doing in getting all those deadly drugs off our streets. Thank you so much. I do see positive change evolving, but we still have a long road ahead, and it's going to take the involvement of our citizens, of our community. To my community, pay attention, get involved. Thank you for listening, and sincerely hope that you all continue to work diligently to get our city back to where it belongs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker with the last four digits, 1660, 1660. Please unmute your mic. You have 3 minutes to address the council.
Please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Paula Plunk. I am in Sacramento with lawmakers fighting for the right of San Bernardino residents, including the California EPA and others who care about you. Council, you are completely out of control, and this disgusting behavior of gaslighting, lying, and colluding needs to stop. All eyes are upon you. Wave at the California Attorney General tonight. Council, you should have censured John Valdivia for his 18 verified sexual harassment claims, but you did nothing, apparently out of sight, out of mind. Let John Valdivia sit in that court system until his king crown is getting tighter and his pocketbook is getting smaller. No one, especially these 5 people, are collateral damage to your ignorant specious votes, which are based on your egos, not facts. The city's ability to stay in the court system should be a red flag, but instead you all fly it like a badge of honor. Your votes say so. Interim CM, we have given you grace and patience to remove Director Nathan Freeman, Director Daniel Hernandez, and Director Susie Soren for dereliction of duty attached to the constant illegal acts, once placing our children in danger without a shelter-in-place order on January 25th. Then there was Burtec. Now we have the carousel, a mall of hell looming, and they are more than happy to place residents and children into danger. By the way, completely opposite of what the city charter mandates. This city voted out John Valdivia for his collusion, not commitment to this city. Don't make the same mistake, Council, John Valdivia made, thinking residents are stupid. And you don't have to come and bring your honesty into this meeting. Remember, City Management Council, you have placed the California State Attorney General eye upon you. This is your shame to clean up. We will always be the warriors for this city. You need to do better, which means do your damn job. Thank you.
Going back to speaker with the last four digits, 3548. Please unmute your mic. You have 3 minutes to address the council.
Madam City Clerk's the one with the hand raised?
Yes.
Please state your name.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please state your name.
Concay Simi.
Please mute your device, please. We're getting feedback here in the council chambers.
Voters of San Bernardino, the city council and mayor continue to lie to you and deceive to you. They don't care about you. Last meeting, they again cut your comment time from 3 minutes to 90 seconds. They need to be home before their 10 o'clock curfew. They sacrifice so much for you. They refuse to approve or post the minutes for any of these meetings, so you cannot go back and see what their voting record is. Last meeting, Mr. Sanchez admitted members of his council knew the city was breaking state laws while working on the Carousel Mall project, yet said nothing. Director Daniel Hernandez, Nathan Freeman, Susan Pan, and Ken Watson enabled this, said nothing, and are still employed by the city. They need to be fired. City attorneys from BB&K colluded in this, said nothing, and are still representing the city. They need to be fired. Mayor Tran did not participate in this fraud, but will surely take this opportunity to push her own downtown project to replace the city river walk. To celebrate the charade, a demolition ceremony is scheduled for 10 a.m. Monday, April 24th at the Carousel Mall, where crushing on site will occur. The contractor, Resourceside Environmental, stated in their proposal that concrete crushing would be performed on site, which is illegal within city limits. Within a quarter mile of Carousel Mall, there are offices, restaurants, stores, motels, hotels, the California Theater, the Regal Theater, the San Bernardino Transit Center, a senior center, and senior housing. Mr. Sanchez, Ms. Ibarra, Mr. Figueroa, Mr. Charette, and Mr. Alexander all voted for this last December 7th. How fitting. Just remember, Mr. Sanchez says that crushing is good for the development of the city. He doesn't care about the development of you or your family. Voters of San Bernardino, don't let the city council and mayor settle these court cases against John Valdivia out of court. Pay the attorney fees and let them go to trial. These cases are about wrongful termination, hostile workplace, sexual harassment, and bribery. Allowing these cases to continue will allow the entire world to know what John Valdivia did during using his mayoral power to abuse these 3 men and women, as well as the culpability of Ms. Tran, the director of human resources at that time, turning a blind eye. Mr. Valdivia is a sexual harasser and abuser, while the council and Ms. Tran, with their inaction, become Mr. Valdivia's enablers. Settling out of court will shield Mr. Valdivia and the city of their collusion. Pay the attorney fees and let them go to trial. In closing, remember, they don't care about you unless you are paying it forward, paying it back, or paying it off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one last speaker who submitted their request online prior to the meeting. Speaker with the name Negrete, you have 3 minutes to address the council.
Please state your name.
Don't believe they're connected to the audio, so they're not going to be able to speak. So that would conclude public comment.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. At this time, we move on to the city manager's report.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. We have a brief report of some things going on in the city. Starting with last week, Mayor Tran and Council members Alexander and Calvin attended the League of Cities conference in Sacramento. While there, they were able to meet with Majority Leader Gomez Reyes, Senator Ochoa Bogue, and members of Assemblymember Ramos's staff to discuss key legislation, funding opportunities, and the budget that would benefit and affect San Bernardino. This week, the city awarded the first round of grants to local small businesses and nonprofits. Last year, the city allocated $3 million in ARPA funds to fund this program. Grant amounts range between $10,000 and $35,000, and the one stipulation is that the nonprofits or small businesses needed to take a class at the Small Business Development Center and meet with a business counselor to craft a plan to sustain or grow their businesses. We have a number of photos up there of some very happy business and nonprofit operators. We also were able to take some videos of them, and they were tickled to death about receiving these funds. This morning, our Public Works Urban Forestry section, we talked about Arbor Day a little bit earlier, with the awesome help of Mrs. Williams' third grade class at North Park Elementary School, planted 2 trees on their school grounds. Students learned about the values of trees and quickly helped by digging holes and properly planting the trees. Best of all, they named each of the trees. One tree was named Ratatouille, and the other tree was named Mark. I just report the news. But it's great for the kids at North Park Elementary. As mentioned earlier, on Monday, there will be a ceremony to commemorate the start of the Carousel Mall's demolition at 10 a.m. At the Carousel Mall. Access to the event will be off of G Street, and this marks a significant milestone in the redevelopment of the 43-acre property downtown. Also happening next week, there will be 2 meetings to continue the planning of the one-stop shop. One will be in the evening next Tuesday at Feldheim Library. One will be in the daytime at 290 North East Street in the multipurpose room on the 2nd floor. The important thing about this is to help streamline permitting, make things faster, make things easier, and put everything in one place so people don't have to go all around the city to get permitted. Also coming up this Saturday is the Arbor Day, Earth Day revitalization at Bobby Vega Park. In addition to booths, there will be free shade trees available, free mulch, a green jobs fair, document shredding, free motor oil filters, and volunteers will be sought to clean up the park. And with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Klaus, did you say booze or did you say booths? I just thought I heard booze. I just thought I heard booze, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that it's not going to be any booze at Earth Day.
I have no idea what I said. I'll have to go back and watch the video, but yes, you are correct. There will be no booze.
There will be no booze.
Booths.
Thank you very much.
Yes, what's a ute?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the Mayor City Council update. We'll start with Councilmember Sanchez. Do you have any announcements or updates to provide, please?
Yes, I do. Let me go through them right now. The Water Department is holding a poster contest for kids to enter. They are looking for drawings to make people aware of water conservation. The contest winners will receive a $100 and will be featured in the department's annual calendar. So I have one up on my fridge. It's a beautiful calendar. Water Department hands them out every year, and every month has a winner's drawing. We also have, I want to congratulate Mauricio Ariano as our San Bernardino City Unified School District's new superintendent. He graduated from San Bernardino High School, I think last year, right? Recently. So I want to congratulate him. The work they do helps nurture and create good citizens here in our city for the long term. That's it for now.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Figueroa?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I'll just speak about this briefly since a couple of people came up and spoke about code enforcement. I do have an item later on. I won't go into the details of that, but perhaps it'd be a great opportunity, not to put you on the spot, but perhaps it'd be a good opportunity to present a part of the city manager's updates. I know that the council recently approved a certain amount of code enforcement officers, 20 officers. It'd be good to find out where we are as far as the hiring process, how many have actually are on board now, nights, weekends, how that looks. And not necessarily just to focus on residential, but there are a lot of commercial properties that need code enforcement issues as well. So it could be a good opportunity to, if not to put you on the spot, sir. Sorry about that. Okay, but I certainly want to thank our graffiti removal team. I submitted multiple requests within the last week, and a large majority of them within like 4 or 5 hours were taken care of. So I encourage people to continue using the Go SB City app to submit some of those. So I'm very thankful to our team for taking care of that pretty quickly. I was actually impressed. I didn't know that they were going to do it that fast. I reported and it was gone almost before I got back home. So thank you for that. I also had an opportunity to attend the Buddhist temple for the Cambodian New Year celebration. So I'm just very thankful for them to, opening up their doors and sharing their culture. It was a great experience seeing the celebration of the New Year and the wishes for prosperity in this next year. So thank you to them. And also, in fact, that same day, I had the opportunity to, along with Councilmember Calvin and Councilmember Alexander, to join Assemblymember James Ramos and welcome him to the neighborhood, so to speak. He's located in the same building as we are. He's selected the city of San Bernardino for his district office. So thank you to him. He's been a big advocate for mental health, and I greatly thank him for that. I want to encourage the public to go down to the National Orange Show Fair. It's the 106th National Orange Show Fair taking place. It started today. Will be going on through the weekend. A lot of family-friendly fun going on out there. And finally, to our, I just saw him earlier, but I wanted to say a big thank you to our police department as well. I've been seeing some of the pictures that have been posted as far as the drug busts that are taking place. That's huge. It's massive as far as the amount that is being seized. So thank you to our police department for that effort as well. And that is all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Charette?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. As was mentioned earlier by Mr. Jim Smith at the public speaking dais, the Inland Empire is mourning the loss of a real icon in the education field and the art field. Dr. Ernest F. Garcia passed away April 6th of this year, 2023. A lifelong educator, advocate, and patron of the arts, Dr. Garcia leaves behind an indelible legacy of service and inspiration. I was fortunate to know him personally for many, many years. He and his wife Dottie were constituents of mine and dear close friends, and I mourn his loss as I know the Garcia family does. There was an article that I would encourage anyone to look up to learn about Ernie's history here in the city of San Bernardino. As was stated, he has left an indelible legacy of service to this community. If you'll bear with me for just a minute, I need to change messages here to give the date of his, there will be a ceremony. His funeral will be Saturday, April 29th at 1 p.m. at the Presbyterian Church of San Bernardino. I don't have that exact address. It's on D Street, just south of Highland Avenue. Again, that's the Presbyterian Church of San Bernardino, April 29th at 1 p.m. I'm sure it'll be an overflow crowd with a reception immediately following at the Orange Show Events Center. Ernie was a board member of the Orange Show for many, many years, very, very active down there with their art museum down there. What he did and what his family and what his wife has done in this city, the list is very, very long, and there's no way that I would have time to cover any of it, except to say that he was a great, great man and a real loss to this community. So I would ask that we close in his honor this evening, in his honor and memory, and that we dedicate our closing to the life of Ernie Garcia. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Reynoso?
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to echo the sentiments. Ernie Garcia lives on, though, not only through the Garcia Center for the Arts. Some people, I'm looking at them in this room, Marion Bernard, Rocio, plenty of other people who literally with their hands, like in sweat equity, brought the Garcia Center back to life, and it lives on. And now one of those members is actually the director, and I'm glad to call him a friend. So Ernie lives on. After all the major celebrations, there's going to be something Jorge told me at the Garcia Center, so stay tuned for that. I wanted to highlight that the Oxbow removal is at the end of tonight's agenda. I think that I'm either going to have to bring that back again because one of my votes is not here, and otherwise I could just bring it back again formally. But know that it's going to get done. It's going to get brought forward. The crushing and grinding on site of the Carousel Mall is not something I'm okay with, and I got to speak to staff very publicly here. I think that a demolition celebration is in bad taste, and I will not be in attendance for another reason, but I think that's in poor taste. I just had to say that. When I heard about it today, I was like, for what? I'm honing in on some code enforcement violations. We have very low standards for code violations here, $100 a day and things like that, and therefore developers get to do whatever the heck they want still. So I'm very interested in finding developers who have been doing whatever they want forever and coming to the city and continually doing the same thing and just testing us. And so we look crooked every time we're exposed. And I'm tired of hearing from diligent citizens in the city saying, this is happening, are you aware of it? This is happening, are you aware of it? I don't want to hear about that. I want developers to be afraid and do the right thing here. If you're doing the wrong thing, get correct, all right? I'm the council member who's not afraid to address developers that way. Scoff at it if you'd like. The closure on the Palm and Kendall 215 entrance will end next Friday at 4 a.m. There was a lot of concern. Caltrans owns the exits and entrances to the freeway, but those potholes are ridiculous. People were blowing out tires like crazy, so they had to close it. They have to get it right. So I'm grateful for that. Blair Park Town Hall, date TBD, but it'll be in June. I attended the Teamsters Spring Fling. I was grateful, always grateful for the Teamsters. They represent tons of workers. And just being in the presence of the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, it's powerful because people who talk about something is one thing. People who fight for millions of workers every day is another. And that's something I'd like to model my own work after, is fighting for the working class. I also had the opportunity to speak and ask a question to Angela Davis, who has been one of my role models my entire life. Mother saw her in the 70s, went full circle from a young guy in college who was listening to her speeches at night, walking my dog on the coast of Mississippi, to being able to actually ask her a question about local engagement and what that means and what it could mean for an area like San Bernardino. So I'm grateful for leaders like that still existing in the community and still doing it. She's about to turn 80 years old. I want to welcome and thank Mauricio Arellano for coming back to San Bernardino, a native San Bernardino resident coming back to be the superintendent. My father was a superintendent before he passed away, and so I want to leave this message with him. I'm going to be meeting with him soon, one-on-one. But I hope for his steadfast nature that he doesn't fall into the political side of education. There is a lot of politics in education, and whether you like it or not, it's there, it's ever present, and it's on a scale where you can't really see it on the outside. But I'm wishing him luck because it's a treacherous game. You think politics is just here, and education is treacherous. And lastly, I want to end with a happy belated birthday to Mayor Tran. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you, Councilman Reynoso. Councilwoman Calvin?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And thank you, community. I know that it's very difficult for you all. It's very difficult for me to listen to you. it's very difficult for me to drive around the city as well and see things that I wish that I could snap my fingers and change. But my job is to continue to try to make it known what needs to be changed. So trust and believe that you have a voice in me that does that every single day of the week here as representative for not just the 6th Ward, but for the city of San Bernardino. But a lot of the things that are needing to get changed, they're in some processes. But we have a lot, though, that still is changing. I want to send a shout out to Public Works Department because I have never seen as many Public Works trucks inside of Ward 6 and throughout the city when I drive through, that trees are getting cut and potholes and different things are happening. And so that movement, to see them visibly there in community says that there's something going on. It's just that it can't go on fast enough. So happy to hear that new code enforcement officers are coming aboard. Happy to hear that we have folks who call in to say and report those type of things that we don't see. But I'm sure the city manager heard you, and we'll be making contact to make sure that that building does get locked up. I want to say thank you to San Gorgonio Girl Scouts Troop 1419. Weren't they beautiful? Let's give them a hand. They're already at home in bed. But that's what it takes right now for us, too, is to make sure that the youth have a place here at the city. And that's a reminder, too, of what the work that we have before us, and so that we can continue to work harder, right? Because this is really their future that we're working for. With that being said, I want to thank Corey Hodges and his team, because finally launched the Youth Council for the City of San Bernardino's application is online right now. It's been a moment coming, but thank you all for all the work. I know that all of you guys have touched that application and touched the whole entire process in the MOU with the San Bernardino City Unified School District. I really appreciate that. I can't wait to see those applications and who comes through, and those scholars, juniors, and sophomores who will be able to apply to be able to come and learn what it is to sit here and do our jobs. And hopefully we won't deter them from wanting to continue to do our job. Shout out to Park and Rec for, again, egg extravaganza was wonderful, and all of our nonprofits throughout the city who did Easter egg hunts for our children. Those were all phenomenal, and I appreciate them. But I really want to highlight an Easter event that I went to for the Children's Subacute Hospital that is in Ward 6, and none of these children get to go home. Their families have to come there for each and every holiday. To visit them and celebrate those holidays with them. So I give a whole lot of kudos to those nurses and folks who take care of those children. They really have a way of warming my heart. Shout out to Coffee with a Cop. Went to our Western Division the other day, and Lieutenant Flores and Lieutenant Odendorf and Detective Cogswell came to the community to share a lot of new information that's going on, like Operation Restore Downtown Hope. They're working specifically on trying to make sure that we're able to clean up the downtown. NHSIE had a first-time home buyers workshop in city of San Bernardino in Ward 6. This is a 8-week workshop. It's not going to be too late if you didn't make this one to join in, where they are going to walk each and every person that signs up for this workshop to show them how they can become a homeowner, what the whole entire process is. The Master Park Strategic Plan, awesome. It's not 15 years, it is 5 years, right, Liddy? And that, Liddy, Director Gutfield, at the meeting last Tuesday, we had some Nicholson Park residents, and they wanted to know what is going on, what was the update. So I was very happy to be there and to hear you give them the update that Nicholson Park does have $9 million of rendering is done, and we're working towards to begin to bring that park back to life, and I'm very, very grateful. That park has been out of commission going on 9 years, and those families and children in that area deserve to have a park to go to as well. I had a meeting with Caltrans District 8 to discuss the on-ramps and exits of our freeways and how those areas are needing to be taken care of as well. That is not city responsibility, that is Caltrans, that is the state's responsibility. So in partnership and having those kind of discussions, letting them know, hey, let's take a drive through the city, drive through my ward in particular, because I need for you to pay attention. I understand that during COVID, things were, wasn't as many employees out there, but now it's different. And I'm expecting that as they see us continue to do more of our own work in bringing Forest City back to a vibrant life, they have a work to do as well. So I'm happy to announce that the District 8 representative for us is working to do that and paying attention as well. And I want to say welcome to Assemblymember Ramos, that now he is in the neighborhood, and we're happy to have him in the community. And those are all my announcements for tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilman Alexander?
Yes, thank you. On April 8th, my wife and I attended the 25th District American Legion Ronald McDonald Walk. The Ronald McDonald Walk is where we support and we provide funds to the Ronald McDonald House. And if you don't know about the Ronald McDonald House, it's free. All the families are free. They stay there for cancer. So we helped raise over $6,000, the 25th District American Legion, and we presented that check to the Ronald McDonald House, and I was a part of that walkathon. And I support that walkathon every year. So I participated on that. Of course, the egg extravaganza. I got my granddaughter, Avery Grace. She got 7 eggs out of all those eggs, so we're going to try to work better next year. She was overwhelmed. But thank you for trying to help her out, Councilmember Calvin. Also, on the 11th of April, Councilmember Reynoso, Ibarra, and the mayor and I, we supported the opening game of the Route 66. The mayor threw out the first pitch. I'll let her tell you about it. But we were out there supporting our 66ers and our local team. We went to, Councilmember Calvin, the mayor and I, we went to Sacramento, and we spoke with our legislators, and we don't go up there, or I don't go up there, we don't go up there just for photo ops. We go up there to get things done. So we talked about, which is not mentioned, is about the playbook. You know, we honed in on getting funds and getting the playbook implemented and moving. It's not just talk, it's getting it moving. We also talked about the 3rd round of home keep, which helps the unsheltered. We stressed on that with our representatives. And one that Assemblymember Ramos is putting a bill through to get Patton opened up for the unsheltered. It's going to get refurbished. We have a letter for our city in support of that to help get Patton opened back up again so they may provide those funds. It's in its final stages now. Right, and it's in its final stages. So we're supportive of that in our city. So we're getting it, that's done. That's not talk, that's being done. Also, Teamsters in the 1932, they put out a car show in downtown San Bernardino. It was a beautiful car show. There was no issues. Councilmember Calvin and Reynoso and I were there. I don't know if anybody else was there. Please share me if I missed your name. Please tell me that we're there, because we're all working in conjunction. We're working as a team. And it was a beautiful show downtown. And the cars weren't the hit of the show. It was the motorcycles. They were great. And I thank the Teamsters for coming down and showcasing our city, because they weren't from San Bernardino. They were from everywhere around the Southern California area. And they didn't have, they were from everywhere. 15th, I supported the Music Under the Stars at Valley College. Music Changing Lives did Music Under the Stars. It was a nice event. It was free $99. It was a bunch of artists. You need to come out and support that. It was a great event. Councilmember Calvin and I went to the Order of the Eastern Stars. It was a banquet at Shannon Hills. Great event. On the 17th, I went to Safe Routes with San Bernardino Unified School District. We were at Newmark Park Elementary School. Joe Baca and I was there. We were mapping out safe routes for our students to make sure our students are safe. So I did that. Attended Dr. Nagg's Neighborhood Association along with our city manager. He was there. He was one of the guest speakers. Also on the 18th, we were at Yamava. A lot of us on this dais was at Yamava for their Forging Hope Award ceremony. It was for nonprofits. We were there supporting Yamava and those who receive nonprofits. It was a nice event. And to Lieutenant Fivey, who is one of my commanders, is retiring after 30 years. So they gave him a public retirement ceremony at Coffee of the Cop on the 19th. It was an excellent showing. and support. So Lieutenant Fyvie, farewell in your retirement. I know you're going to do great things. To Ernest Garcia, to Dottie and Tim, my thoughts are with you on the loss of your father and your husband. There's going to be a VA fair on the 27th, and I think that's it, Madam Mayor. Oh, no, sorry. I would just like to congratulate the winners of all the arts. Is Jim Smith there? Nope, he's gone. To Commissioner Robert Porter, my commissioner, and the winners were the Art Connection, the San Bernardino Valley Concert Association, the Garcia Center, the Coma Unity Center was a winner recipient, Lifting Our Stories was a recipient, the Young Samoa was a recipient, Youth Power Solutions was a recipient, and Inland Futures Foundations. They were all recipients of the grants that the city did this year. This wasn't going on before we got here. So once again, we're moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. All right. Again, just like many of my council members here on the dais, thank you, Council Member Charette, for requesting to end our meeting in honor of Dr. Ernest Garcia. Okay, sorry. Senior Manager, did you want to say something?
I had a couple of comments, Madam Mayor, the council. There were a number of speakers who spoke tonight on a number of issues that are extremely frustrating to them and to our residents and to this council. So I just want to make it very clear that the residents who've come forward, I want them to know that we hear them and that we're addressing these issues. Just a few that I think it's important to highlight. One is the speaker who came up about the homeless issue and the frustration there. We are, at the staff level, based upon the council's commitment to expand the efforts that we are now working on, to not only in terms of increasing the shelter capacity, but also our enforcement. And so that's something that will be coming to this council because you have directed that we enhance that. So that's coming forward to you. We have a workshop that we're trying to schedule after the team retreat. So that's coming forward. I think you'll, and the residents will like what we're proposing. The second issue is, as you heard tonight, the permit process. We've got some public hearings that we are inviting our business community, our residents, to give us input on the permit process. Our goal there is to make sure that we no longer have our businesses who come through our permit process frustrated by the time and lack of attention they get from resolving this. My goal is to make sure that when people come here, they can walk away saying they like doing business in the city of San Bernardino, that it's an easy place to do business. So that's the challenge that we have. We're going to get this one fixed. The other ones, one of the speakers spoke about small businesses. What we are working on now is to make sure that we are putting programs together to enhance our small businesses, to work with our small businesses, make it easier for them, and also provide assistance to them if they want to expand. That has to be a priority for us. That's another program that's coming to this council in the workshop fashion. The second one and last one here is a speaker spoke about the events process and getting the run around and trying to do an event. One of the things that we are committed to is making sure that we are helping our events coordinators in the city expand their operations and especially bringing people downtown. You know, this is an opportunity for us to work with our businesses. Anybody who has an event, we should be encouraging those things. We should be working with them so that they're happy to do events and residents can come down and enjoy those events. So all those things will be coming to the council and will be addressed at the workshop. So I just want to make sure people know that we're working on that and we hear you and we will address them.
Thank you, City Manager. I do appreciate you responding to the public's concerns and that the workshop will really address a lot of those issues. And I was going to jump into that, but you just jumped right to it. So
we hear you.
Thank you. I also would like to echo with my council members congratulating our new superintendent, Mauricio Arellano. Looking forward to working with you closely to ensure our students' education is in the forefront, working collaboratively together. I also want to emphasize that when my council members and I went to Sacramento to advocate for our city, we did a great job. So thank you, council members, for joining me, and staff. We had Jeff Crossford joining us to really ensure that our legislators hear us, knows about our issues. And so discussing about the AB 349, which is that Patton Hospital that Councilmember Alexander mentioned, that approved through the Assembly appropriation now to the Senate. We did share that to our Senator Ross Lisi, and she is all for it. So it's really moving along, which means this year we may be able to work with the state Patton Hospital quickly to address the mental illness of our unhoused. That's great. So thank you, Councilmember Alexander, for mentioning that. I really also want to congratulate our Lieutenant Eric Fyvie, again dedicating 3 decades of his time and service to the city. We have extremely dedicated law enforcement men and women in our law enforcement. So thank you so much to our PD department for all that you do. So again, congratulations to Lieutenant Eric Fyvie. I truly want to commend our staff. Our staff has been working around the clock with our city manager, with everything that our city manager has mentioned, a workshop to really update the council, the mayor and council, and the public what they have been doing to, give you a deep dive of the homelessness, plan to address the crisis, the one-stop shop to address the frustration of our business community and our residents. The parks doing a great job on the Parks Master Plan, and the Community Economic Development working with our General Plan Advisory Committee, and there is a draft news plan online available for your review and comments. That is on futuresb2050.com, and that's where you can observe the new uses developed in the future, including housing, commercial, industrial, public, and other uses. Again, the city staff is working around the clock to ensure that we are compliant, we're up to date with our plans. So I commend you all for all the work that you're doing and your dedication. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm part of the Southern California Association of Government, Community Economic and Human Development. I do want to share that there's opportunities for the city to be part of San Bernardino Regional Housing Trust, where we have opportunities to have resources to address the housing crisis, affordable housing. So those are things that I know the city manager and our director, Cassandra Searcy, is working on with the SCAG folks to address. I'm also on the Omnitrans Regional Board of Directors, and I just want to share that all students in our city are eligible to have free rides on public transit. So if you're not aware, please just be aware that all students can ride on buses and all of that for free. So those are something that just be aware that there's a lot of things that are being served to this community, but we just got to do a better job pushing this information out. Let's see. I think that's it. We will now move on to the consent calendar.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move the consent calendar. Are there any polls from the council members? I don't. There's a poll for number 8 by Councilmember Calvin. Any other polls before we move with the remainder? No, I don't see none. So, Madam City Clerk.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem? Yes. Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Councilwoman Calvin for number 8.
Yeah, if possible, if Madam City Attorney could expand a little bit on these amendments.
Is there anything in particular you'd like addressed?
So basically, I had a text message from a constituent that wanted to know, were we just going to automatically extend these payments? Amend the payments?
Yeah. I'm going to defer to our risk management because, and my apologies only because, council members, as you know, I am at this first meeting. I have reviewed your agenda. I did, and I spoke with staff, but I am just returning, and so I don't have that information.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Susie Soren, HR Director, Human Resources Director. As far as the amendments, they're extensions to what was previously approved. So is there one in particular that you're asking about, or it doesn't mean that the full amount that is being asked for is going to be used. In a couple, like for example, the Mosley case, that's to pay current invoices, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the full amount being requested will be utilized.
Because of the city's purchasing rules and procedures, when we come before you with these contracts, we place a term on the contract, so it could be good from like 1 year to 3 years. And we also, for budgeting purposes, to help the finance department, will put dollar amounts so that we have to stay within the purchasing authority that the council gives us. But we don't control the cost of litigation, and that's why we often bring these back, is because we have, as you've heard from outside counsel today in closed session other times, if we get to a point where outside counsel has exceeded that budget, then we have to come to you because we literally run out of purchasing authority. And that's why you have this list here. If there's a specific case that your question's related to, we can maybe answer that case. Some of these firms represent the city in numerous cases, so you might see larger amounts, and then some of the firms represent maybe on a very difficult case, and you might see larger amounts, and maybe you'll see smaller amounts on smaller items.
Councilmember Reynoso?
Can you just, because of the sensitivity of the case, no one here on this dais wants to represent John Valdivia. Can you speak to like what a legal obligation is and what it would look like if we were to deny these extensions? It is a lot of money still. People should know though.
So I think there are two issues.
Councilmember, you're not recognized. Let's.
But he's speaking, he said,
Councilmember-
I'm not going to have him speaking for me.
Councilmember, you're not
I'm sorry,
recognized.
but I'm not going to have him
Councilmember, you're
speaking
not
for me.
recognized.
I think there's a question, and I just want to make sure I understand the question. So do you want me to speak to the city's duty to defend someone, or do you want to speak to, that's what you want me to speak to? Yeah, so I'm asking staff again, I don't believe that these contracts that you would be addressing tonight are for providing specific legal counsel to your former mayor.
Correct.
Okay, so that's one, just so that you know. None of these, if you approve these tonight, are not related to providing your former mayor with legal counsel. They are related in some ways to providing a legal defense to the city, because not only did your former mayor get named as a defendant, but the city did, so that's what they're for. But the city generally has a duty under the Government Tort Claims Act to provide a defense and payment for your city employees and elected officials, so long as their actions arose in the performance of their lawful duties. And sometimes when there could be potential conflicts and you have an employee or an elected official where representing them could be in the city's best interest, then the city could make a decision to represent them as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. There's a motion to move the item. Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Can we call to the vote?
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem? Yes. Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to discussion items. Number 10, City Manager Executive Recruitment Services. The recommendation, it is recommended that the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, authorize the city manager or his designee to execute a professional services agreement with, is that correct? Oh, Gallagher Benefit Services, or formerly Coffin Associates. That's why I got confused on that. Thank you. For the executive recruitment services for the position of city manager. Could we begin with the staff's presentation?
Yes, so on December 29th, 2022, there was a request for proposal that was sent out via Planet Bids. We received 384 executive firms were invited to submit proposals by January 25th of this year. There were 7 proposals that were received and were presented to the mayor and council in closed session on April 5th. On April 10th, we had a closed session meeting in which the 2 top firms were interviewed, and out of that meeting, Koff and Associates is the one who the council selected.
Second.
Question.
Councilmember Alexander?
How long, what is the length of time for this process? If you could please, for the public's sake, explain the length of time for this.
So what Koff and Associates has committed to is from 12 to 14 weeks. So Mr. Frank Rojas, who is the program manager assigned to this, will be providing updates, as requested to the council. If it's, every council meeting or whenever it is that council is requesting, to let you know where it's at. But they have committed to it being completed within 12 to 14 weeks.
So did council members please help my reflection? Did we give a weekly or bi-weekly time frame for?
Yeah, we said every closed session, we would like a Zoom call in to give us an update on the status of the recruiting process.
City Clerk, Madam Director, it's bi-weekly for us, city manager? So
Yes.
please, they know that it's bi-weekly?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, all right, sorry. Every meeting that we attend.
Every meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other, Councilmember Charette?
Could you give me the dates again? We decided to go out for RFP when?
On December 29th of 2022.
On the 29th, and it closed on the 25th?
Correct.
Okay, so on the 25th, we had all the proposals in at that time from the 7 that participated.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, council members? If none, there is a motion, a second, I believe. Yes. So can we call for the votes, please?
Okay, this is a motion by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Councilmember Reynoso. Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you, Susie. Okay, next, item number 11, ratify memorandum of understanding for temporary license between the City of San Bernardino and San Bernardino City Unified School District. It is recommended that the mayor and city council of the City of San Bernardino, California, ratify the memorandum of understanding for the temporary license between the City of San Bernardino and the City of San Bernardino City Unified School District for the use of property on Fairfax Elementary School. Could we begin with the staff's presentation?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. So I will provide you some background and discussion from the staff report for the City Council's consideration on the recommendation before you. So as the Council is aware, on March 9th, 2023, the Cross Street Bridge was condemned based on the recommendation of our contractor structural engineer. The bridge was closed to both vehicular and pedestrian traffic. The condemnation of the bridge eliminated the only means of access to the subject neighborhood, which posed an emergency condition. Due to the emergency condition, staff assessed the available options and determined that the open field within the northeast part of the adjacent school property, Fairfax Elementary, may be utilized to provide a temporary means of access from East 17th Street to North Fairfax. With the cooperation of the San Bernardino City Unified School District, pedestrian access was given immediately upon closure of the bridge. In order to obtain access for the temporary road, the city and the school district agreed to the MOU for temporary access, which is attachment 1 of the staff report. The MOU, which was executed by the interim city manager on behalf of the city, which required the city to fulfill 4 specific terms. First was the improvements, which was the temporary road and the fencing. The second was the maintenance, so it's the maintenance of the temporary road and any issues arising from the construction of the temporary road. The third was the condition of the property, and ultimately it's the restoration of the property once we're the temporary road is removed, we restore it back to its original condition. And lastly was 24-hour security while the road was being constructed. 3 of the 4 terms have been substantially complete, but we have made minor corrections to the temporary road to alleviate concerns from adjacent neighbors in the school district. We've added speed bumps, additional signage. We at one point had temporary lighting trailers. There was concerns and complaints about the lighting, the noise coming from the trailer, so we installed solar lighting to try to alleviate some of those concerns. The aforementioned terms described by the city our obligations per the MOU. So I feel fairly confident that we're in compliance with that MOU. Obviously, once the bridge is addressed, which I'll get later into my staff report out, we'll be able to fulfill all 4 requirements of the MOU. So now I'll provide some background and on the construction activities to provide the temporary access and then provide a plan to address the Cross Street Bridge. So in compliance with the city's municipal code, staff expeditiously coordinated with a public works contractor, Onyx Paving Company, and directed the contractors to mobilize on site to remove the barriers. There was a cinder block wall and chain link fence that was in between the North Fairfax and the school, and they paved temporary asphalt concrete roadway to connect North Fairfax Drive to East 17th Street. The city also contracted Redwood Private Security from the time the closure on Sunday, March 12th, to ensure the security of the school site, since there was no longer a fence there. So 24-hour security was posted to ensure that no one encroached on the school district's property. So once the fence was installed, Redwood was relieved of their duty. These 2 actions satisfied terms 1 and 4. As previously indicated, terms 2 will be ongoing until the site is returned to its original condition, and once it's returned to its original condition, this will satisfy term 3. Throughout the process, staff updated city staff, administration, the mayor and the city council, and the San Bernardino Unified School District. I would like to give special thanks to the school district for their cooperations and understanding throughout this entire process. Without their support and cooperation, the situation could have been much worse. In order to return the school field back to its original condition, we're planning on retrofitting the existing Cross Street Bridge. As part of this phase, our contractor structural engineer, IMEG, will perform structural load calculations on the existing Cross Street Bridge and determine structural reinforcement requirements to open up the bridge to traffic. IMEG will provide civil, structural, geotechnical, and surveying work and will prepare construction plans and specifications for the purpose of rehabilitation of the existing Cross Street Bridge. The proposed work of the existing bridge involves construction of a new structure underneath the existing bridge to carry the vehicle loads. The Phase 1 improvements will take approximately 4 to 6 months to open the existing bridge to vehicular traffic. The anticipated cost for the option includes construction, contingency, and soft costs, and is estimated at $750,000. The cost for design service is $88,750. And in compliance with the city's purchasing guidelines, the interim city manager authorized a proposed scope of work, and staff issued the notice to proceed to IMEG, which is currently underway. In order to minimize further inconvenience to Fairfax Elementary and restore the school to its original condition, staff is working diligently to complete the design documents. Staff intends to return to the city council at a later date to receive an authorization for construction. The proposed second phase is constructing a new bridge on Fairfax Drive, which currently there is no means of access. So this would now provide two access points. So the second bridge would provide a secondary means of access to the subject neighborhood. Due to the flood channel surrounding the subject neighborhood, it's ideal to have auxiliary access to this neighborhood in the event of any temporary closures on Cross Street Bridge to avoid any future issues into that neighborhood. This phase would include preparation of engineering documents, including necessary permit with regulatory agencies, environmental coordination, and design construction documents. The anticipated cost for this option, including contingency and soft costs, is anticipated in the range of $1.5 million. This option would take approximately 2 years to complete the new bridge. The staff does seek council's authorization to issue a request for proposal for the design services for Fairfax Drive Bridge construction. Staff will return to the council to award design services and establish the project budget for Phase 2. This concludes my item, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Calvin?
So Director Hernandez, I would have loved for you to have been at the swearing in yesterday because you cannot imagine how many questions that we had, like, how long is that bridge going to take, council member? So I want to just be clear. So in case I have to answer this question again while in the public, the first phase to make it to where everybody else, staff and parents can come in and out of the school will be 6 months, 4 to 6 months, correct? And that's correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then the entire is just 2 years.
So, yeah, so if we proceed down the path, because the current bridge is not up to the current codes. So obviously, constructing a new bridge on Fairfax would get us to additional codes, being able to provide egress, ingress into that community. So that will take approximately 2 years. But to get us back to the point where we can remove the temporary road and provide access is 4 to 6 months.
Okay, thank you so much. And we are sharing that information with the district, correct?
Yes, they've been very cooperative. We have met with them. To be quite honest, they're focused on the restoration, and they want us to make sure that we're on schedule. We have been meeting with them and providing them updates. They're really just concerned that we stay on target and we restore. That's really their main concern, but they appreciate the updates that we've been providing them.
Thank you.
Councilmember Alexander?
I don't know if this is a pivot or not, but San Bernardino now has been declared a declaration of emergency, San Bernardino County, which it wasn't before. And now that it has, when I was in Sacramento, I asked the question to the staff of the majority leader. I said, can San Bernardino recoup funds because now San Bernardino County has been declared a state of emergency? The staff of Sacramento wasn't quite sure if Public Works, because they were working all those overtime, all that, can we recoup funds because now the county has declared a state of emergency? Have you guys looked into that, possibly recouping our funds for Public Works working all the overtime during the March rain storms? Have we looked into that?
Yeah, it was mainly due to the floods, right?
Right,
And
the
the
March
snow.
storms.
Yeah, Mountain
Right.
Region.
So if you can look into that, and maybe we can recoup some of our funds back now that they declared San Bernardino County a state of emergency, I'd appreciate it.
Look into that and also give you a report back.
Thank you, City Manager. If you wouldn't mind just contacting our Chief Dan Munzie. He was the head person and leading those efforts, so that could be something that's a collaborative effort. So thank you.
One question. The road's deterioration, was that from saturation of water, or how did the road?
The deterioration of the bridge? Yeah, it was vandalism. There was fire set to a wooden column.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Alexander and Councilwoman Calvin. I just want to commend staff for your expeditious response and working with the school district, and responding once we got notice of that. That was just amazing. So thank you for providing access to our families because of the bridge. So thank you. Council members, Councilmember Reynoso, do you have a comment?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Please call for the vote. Madam City Clerk?
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem? Yes. Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to items to be considered for future meetings. Item number 12, consider removal of Oxbow cement pile, and this is through Councilmember Reynoso.
I'd like to motion to continue this item.
Second.
Please call for
Continue
the-
it to the next meeting, I'm sorry, to the end of the agenda at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there is a request to continue the item and a second.
Councilmember Sanchez?
I'd like to make a substitute motion. The substitute motion would be that we discuss this issue after we have addressed the proposal approved by a majority of this council to look at the option of crushing on site. Because that was brought about 3 months ago. Go ahead, Ms. City Attorney.
Waiting to be maybe acknowledged by the mayor. May I just please offer, as I understand, items to be considered for future meetings or items that are initiated by a specific council member? These are not items initiated by staff, as I understand it. And I just wonder if it would be a courtesy to individuals, since it's their items that were put forward, if a person put an item forward, if they either want to, they're going to ask the body to continue it, that would require a motion, but if they wanted to rescind it, or if they wanted to direct it to another time, it's their item. So it's not a council item per se, because of the way you've set up the system. These items are merely put here by a person, an individual, and asking the consent of the rest of the council.
So I can rescind it and ask that it come back to the next agenda?
Well, under your rules, there's a written policy on how this operates, so yes, you could, because you're supposed to send an email. So I just wanted to note that, because these are your individual items.
I'd like to rescind the item then. I don't need any formal approval or anything, right? Cool, rescinded.
Correct, you can then just add it back on if you'd like.
Thank you. I wish I
Thank
would've
you,
had that
Madam
advice
City
a long time
Clerk,
ago.
for the clarification. So the item has been rescinded. Next, item number 13, volunteers and interns for elected officials. This is brought forward by Councilmember Alexander.
Yes, we talked about this and voted on, I believe we voted on this before, Madam City Clerk. I don't know if you remember. Just to bring it forth about volunteers and interns for elected officials.
Move to approve.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, please call for the votes.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem? Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next, item number 14, mechanisms to require developers to maintain their properties in a nuisance-free condition following receipt of entitlements, approvals, including, for example, requiring fencing of sites and requiring demolition of structures within a certain period of time following approval, brought forward by Councilmember Figueroa.
Thank you. I think this is the first one I've ever brought forward. So, I alluded to this at the previous council meeting, and really what this is directed at is a lot of these developments that come into our city, they just sit there for years, and you have a blighted building with graffiti, and eventually it burns down, and there are all kinds of other issues there as well. So the aim of this is to go after that at the beginning stages of planning. So when they pull the permits or whatever it is that happens, again, I'm going to rely on the professionals to provide a timeline, what's an appropriate timeline, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, for the removal of the blighted property. And in addition to that, set up fencing to prevent illegal dumping, for example, that happens at some of these locations. And so that's the intention of this item. And so I'd humbly ask for an aye vote from the council.
Thank you. Councilwoman Calvin?
Councilmember Figueroa, thank you for bringing this forward. And I wanted to ask, does this consider all private-owned properties that aren't being taken care of? Because we have so many of those in the city. You're only looking at the ones that have already received entitlements?
No, I don't think we can go retro. Unfortunately, this would have to happen when, let's say, a developer goes and wants to develop something in the future, but needs to go through all the entitlements and the annex, all these other things that happen. There needs to be again, I'm going to have to rely on CD1, on community economic development, the planning department, to see when would it be appropriate. You have to bring something back to say, at this point, it would be appropriate for us to implement this process. So that we don't have developers coming in and purchasing land with a property, an abandoned building or something just sitting there with graffiti and then burning up because we have individuals, the denizens of these properties, I guess, just staying there and lighting these things on fire. So that's really the intention. It's not to...
I'll second. That's a great item.
Thank you. There is a motion by Councilman Charette and a second by Councilman Reynoso. Madam City Clerk?
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Figueroa?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem? Yes. Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. That concludes our agenda, but we are actually going to go back to closed session, so I won't adjourn. Is that correct, Madam City Clerk? So we're going to go back to closed session at 9:26 p.m. Thank you. Okay, we are back from closed session. The time is 10:39 p.m. Madam City Attorney, anything to report from closed session?
We do not have any reportable action from our closed session.
Thank you. At the request of the council members, we would like to end this meeting, and please, in closing out this meeting in memory of Dr. Ernie Garcia, please take a moment of silence for his passing. Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned at 10:39 p.m. The next joint regular meeting of the Mayor and City Council and the Mayor and City Council acting as the successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency will be held on May 3rd, 2023 at the Feldheim Central Library located at 555 West 6th Street, San Bernardino, California, 92401. Closed session will begin at 5:30 and open session will begin at 7 p.m. Good night, everyone.